Okay, welcome back. This is the lab we're going to be working on this week, and this week we have what we're calling orbital rotation. It's based loosely on Danial Shiffman's book, The Nature of Code, Chapter 3. He has a chapter on oscillation, and so we've taken some of those concepts. What we're looking at are movers. Just like before, the difference is the movers, although they're moving around the screen, each mover object has contained in it an array of orbiters. And every time I make a mover, I send it a number. How many orbiters do I want? They range in this example, I think, from 3 to 7. And then I create an array of orbiters that are positioned evenly around the orbiter at some specific distance. So we're going to learn how to do that. And so this was a final from last year. And this guy took the orbiters. This is Seth. So if you guys know Seth Reese, Seth took this idea of orbiters and he built these little blue creatures, and the blue creatures have little arms that stick out, and you can see they have little snake arms. They reach out. So we had a lab on snakes. You can see these snakes or worms moving around, and he took that idea, took his orbiters, and instead of just drawing a straight line to them, he gave them the ability to reach out and grab these little creatures. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the structure of the code for this lab. Copy all of the code from one of your previous labs into a new folder. Game is going to be very similar, and the main .js and game.js are going to be very similar. But let's just take a quick look at these. Again, we have our global variable game. That's the only global variable in this. We have the onload init, which is going to trigger an event as soon as the page is loaded. And we'll go into the init, we'll create a new game object, and then we'll call the animate function on line 7. Down on line 10, we have the animate function, and we're going to go ahead and run the game. So there's a function in the game object called run, and this is a timed loop, and so this is going to run 60 times a second. Okay, this is my game constructor function, and the game constructor function, just like before, I'm creating a game area object, so I have those nice little tile buttons. I can interact with the game if I want to, or the ecosystem, I should say. We've also created a canvas in the game area object. We created a canvas, but I can access that through document.getElementById, and I've given it the ID CNV, so that's going to give us the canvas, and from the canvas we get a context. So I'm going to have a game paused feature, so I can pause the movement at any point, and I have a function called create movers. I'm sending in the canvas, and I'm passing in the number 55, and so that's going to be down here, and this is still in game. Notice I'm in game.prototype.create movers, so that function is going to be loaded into the prototype. Even though we only have one game object in this, it would not make any difference if I just put it inside the actual constructor function, but just I guess it's good practice to put methods in the prototype. Okay, so this is just like before. I'm creating this movers. Instead of putting this, I could put this up in the constructor function. In fact, I think I probably should have done that, but in any case, I've got for var I equals less than the number of movers I plus plus, and then x, y, dx, dy. So this is going to be the variables for the location. Dx and dy are going to be the x and values for the velocity vector. So I'll have a location vector and a velocity vector. Radius color, I'm going to choose random RGB and number of orbs. So you can see I'm building all of those down from lines 37 rather, through 46. And then line 47, I send all those parameters in. So every mover is going to have his own location, his own speed, his own radius, color, and the number of orbs is going to vary from mover to mover. Okay, now let's go over and look at the other code for mover. And the mover code is going to look like this. So I don't have this in yet. This is just getting you guys started, but I want you guys to think in terms of, I've got a constructor function for the mover. The parameters have to match what I had before. So let's actually match the parameters, and we'll set that up. Let's see, over here in game, we're sending in an x and y location. So just like before, I can pass in or receive x and y. I can receive, let's go ahead and just say dx and dy. And then let's do R for radius and C for color. And then we have the number of orbs, I believe. Yep, number of orbs. And so I'll just put N for the number of orbs. So by the next class, by Friday, you guys need to have the prototype update let's see, done. So all of this stuff we've done before for the mover. So have the mover moving around, have your array of orbiters loading, and then what we're going to talk about in class next time is how are we going to create the update method and the render method for the orbiter. And the orbiter, remember, each mover is going to have its own array of orbiters. So let's go ahead and just set up these properties so you can see how we're going to set up the orbiters as well. Okay, so here's the properties for the movers, and they're going to look like this. We're going to create a new JS vector. We're taking in the first two. That's going to give me X and Y. Notice I just got random canvas width and canvas heights over on the right on lines 38 and 39, and those X and Y values get passed in as parameters, and we're creating a new location vector with that X and Y value. The DX and DY value are for the velocity vector, and dx is going in the x component of velocity, and dy is going as the y component for velocity. Acceleration is just 0, 0. Actually, the way we have our JS vector class set up, we could just go like that, and it would do exactly the same thing. The radius, we're passing in r, it's getting passed into line 6, this dot radius. The parameter c is getting passed in down here for color. That was this guy down here on line 45. We're just creating a string with random R, G, and blue values, red, green, and blue values. And then finally, I'm just taking in my for loop, let I equals 0 to I equals n. That's the last number, the number of orbs. And I am creating a angle velocity, and that's going to give me a new orbiter. Okay, so I'll stop there for today. What I'd like you guys to do is make sure you have the movers moving around on the screen, that you've got the orbiter constructor function set up. So we don't have any properties in here yet, but we're going to go ahead and give it properties. We're going to have an update function and a render function that we're going to talk about next time. I'll put that in the second video after you guys have completed the lab. But for right now, this is just to get you guys started. I'll see you on Friday. Have a great day.